What impact do you see on Virginia's ability to generate much-needed highway construction and maintenance funds? What remedy might you have for highway funding without a gasoline fuel tax?
You know, that's such a huge question. From the beginning of this campaign, I've said that the quickest way I can create jobs and restore economic prosperity, create economic opportunity in every part of Virginia is develop a statewide transportation plan. We've not had a plan in place since 1986 when Jerry Blouses led the way on it. You know, I'm not running for dictator, I'm running for governor, and I'm not wed to any single source of funding. It's going to take somebody who can bring together delegates and senators, Democrats and Republicans to come around the table and develop consensus about how we pay for our transportation system. But I'm determined to make it job one for me as governor, one that I'm committed to get done. We might even have a special session, fellas, next year between Thanksgiving and Christmas if we don't have a plan passed before then. We're going to get a transportation plan passed. Now, how you pay for it, that's a good question. The gas tax is a declining source of revenue. As vehicles become more efficient and they use alternative sources of energy, we're going to have to look, we're going to have to be innovative, and we're going to have to continue to look for ways to pay for funding, to pay for roads. My perspective, and here's the urgency in this situation. I don't want to overstep my time. Between 2011 and 2016, sometime, we will not be able to match the federal construction dollars we get from the feds. We get right now 93 cents on the dollar. For every dollar we pay in taxes to the federal government, we get 93 cents back in federal transportation money. But we have to match that. We will not be able to match sometime between 2011 and 2016, so this is an urgent question that has to be addressed, and that's why I'm going to put it forefront, first on the agenda next year when I'm governor.
Thank you.
I'm Harrison Newton. I'm also a Napoleon Hill Scholar. Several southwestern Virginia local governments have adopted resolutions favoring the so-called Pickens Plan, enhancing the use of natural gas in large truck fleets. Southwestern Virginia has huge natural gas reserves to utilize. How do you see natural gas in the state's energy mix, and have you taken a position on the T. Boone Pickens Energy Plan?
You know, as I said a little bit ago, I don't think there's any question that energy independence is a matter of national and economic security. We have to work toward. I don't think there's a single silver bullet that's going to allow us to achieve energy independence. What Mr. Pickens has advanced, as I understand it, is a pretty, it's a series of ideas that have a lot of, they're wed to common sense in large extent. 22% of our future energy needs will come from renewable sources. What he talks about is primarily wind. We phase into it with natural gas, and natural gas is something we have in abundance, as you point out, and it's also something that we have right here in Southwest Virginia. It's a source of future economic opportunity for us for a long time to come. I've not taken a position on his plan. I don't think there's a silver bullet, but I think he's laid some interesting ideas out there that we have to continue to look at. And part of the reason I've talked about this energy-based research triangle is because we already have research projects going on in Virginia. We have to find a way, from my perspective, to attract more energy-based research to Virginia, to coordinate that research among our research institutions. We have 14 four-year schools in the state that are within our system. We're on the campus of one. We have 14 of these schools. We bring that research to Virginia. We not only solve the big problems about what our energy future is going to be, but we create the next economy. That's what it's all about to me. What Pickens has laid out is a bunch of interesting ideas that I think deserve consideration. I don't know that it's a silver bullet that's going to solve this, but I think a whole lot of his ideas deserve consideration. It's something, energy policy is something that I think about every day. I talk about every day. I don't say different things in Wise than I'm going to say in Arlington or Virginia Beach. I promise you that. And it's something I talk about all the time, and it's something I'm prepared to lead on.
Right. Good afternoon. I'm Jakima Robinson. I am from Honeacre, Virginia, so I'm a native of the area, and I'm also a Napoleon Hill Scholar. Senator Deeds, in the most recent session of the Virginia General Assembly, a bill was enacted to enable county public service authorities to build natural gas, commercial, residential, and industrial service infrastructure since private firms do not want to make the capital investment in low population density areas such as Watts, Buchanan, Dickinson, and Russell counties. How would you, as governor, endeavor to assist localities in building rural natural gas public service infrastructures, or would you?
Well, a number of good issues are raised. As the last question really pointed out, natural gas represents a huge clean energy alternative for us in the future and an opportunity. In a perfect world, the private sector is going to build this infrastructure. In a perfect world, the private sector is going to, there's going to be a marketplace response to the need for natural gas, the need for energy. But let's face it, we don't live in a perfect world. Now, my home is Bath County. My grandfather's house on the farm where I grew up was the first house fired up by rural electrification in Bath County. Rural electrification is the only thing that brought electricity to the hollows around where I live, and the hollows in all of Southwest Virginia in the 40s. It electrified, it brought the rural South into the 20th century. Sometimes government has to take action, and that's what this legislation represented. I'm prepared to partner with localities to find ways innovatively to finance construction of infrastructure, and also to look for ways, I think, we can use stimulus funds and other federal funds to try to build the infrastructure necessary to make this natural gas plant work. The bottom line is people need service, and sometimes when the marketplace doesn't react, government has to.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Carbon-based fossil fuels have been the backbone of the regional economy for more than a century. Electric generation capacity in our nation is about 50% dependent on coal.
That's right.
What plans do you have, if any, to boost coal to liquids or carbon sequestration technologies or other cutting-edge research technologies in Virginia's coal fields during your would-be term as governor between 2010 and 2014?
And that's a critical question too. Over 50% of our electric power nationally now comes from coal. There are some who want to argue that coal, I mean, there's some that want to pretend that coal is going to disappear overnight, but it's not. It's going to be part of our energy future for the rest of our lives. As I indicated in my opening remarks, we put a man on the moon. The last history book I read said the Wright brothers got the airplane off ground in North Carolina. That's in the United States. We figured out how to harness nuclear power to make a bomb, but then also to generate power. You know, we can't, you're telling me we can't figure out how to capture carbon and sequester it? I think coal represents an enormous opportunity for us as Virginians, as Americans. We have 25% of the world's coal reserves in the United States. A huge chunk of that's in Southwest Virginia. Coal represents a huge opportunity for us. We have to, I mean, even as we continue to work toward developing alternative and renewable sources of energy, nothing lasts forever. We have to continue, we have to look for innovative approaches to energy. But there's no, as I've said a couple of times, there's no single answer to our energy future. We've got to develop the wind farms, we've got to develop the solar technology, we've got to invest in thermal and tidal technology, we've got to develop the biofuels, but the reality is we can't produce the energy that's going to run this country without coal. And so it just makes sense for us to continue to invest in the clean coal technology. Now, my understanding is the federal government's getting ready to undergo a $100 million test to test some sequestration technology. I want to partner with you to bring that test to Virginia. I want to find, I think this is an opportunity for Virginia to be in the vanguard in terms of policy. As I said from the beginning,